today's session, Grímur from Iceland is presenting on Fabric Data Agents, and I had the pleasure of meeting Grímur last in Data Saturday Denmark in January, where he also gave a session, not on the same topic, but today we are looking forward to hearing about Fabric Data Agents, creation workflows, automation, and so on. And maybe you can see there's a bit of coughing going on. I know there's a cold in the background, but let's see if we can get a session from you today. Grímur, please, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yep. So I'm going to just start with, just share my slides. Okay, so as Jan said, I'm called Grímur and I come from Iceland. Hopefully you just get used to the accent after a while. So this, and at the moment I work as a data and AI lead at Crayon in Reykjavík, and I also hold courses in the Open University, which is like it's like an executive education branch of the Reykjavík University. And I've been teaching Power BI and its predecessors for 13 years. It's been quite a journey. I claim that I've taught 1% of the nation how to use Power BI. I'm not quite sure if it's exactly true, but it's getting close at least. And I started my education taking a BA in philosophy. Then I did a little bit of computer science, took an MBA, and did the guiding certification once. And basically, I've been working as a fisherman and then a computer geek. That's basically my career. And I thought this gets there. It was quite funny because I started in AI almost by accident. I was working for a company in Iceland. I've been teaching them Power BI for a few courses, and they asked me to come in to do like I think they call it office hours, be there, and if people had problems, they came to me and asked me if I could help them solve the problems. And one morning somebody came and she said, okay, I ordered a slot with you, Grímur, but I don't need it anymore because I just asked ChatGPT and it's solved. And this was in the early days, and I thought it was terribly exciting and terribly scary as well. And I decided I need to do something with this. I need to at least learn how to do it. And I also started having courses with ChatGPT, and of course sort of the radio picked up on that, and then I've been on the radio twice to talk about AI as an expert, and that was basically after like 2 months of starting with AI, and that's how fast I became an AI expert. So I mean, cheetahs are fast and airplanes are fast and light is fast, but becoming an expert in AI, that's even faster. And I've been working in data for over 30 years. And I've never been on the radio to talk about like slowly changing dimensions or early arriving facts. So that's how fast you become an expert in AI these days. Okay, I'm going to have a very short introduction about what agents are. So I don't know how early you started with ChatGPT, but the earliest version of ChatGPT, then you only had access to the training data. That was the only data that was available in the LLMs. And after a while, people figured out that wasn't really enough. The answers that were getting sort of obsolete. And I mean, the favorite example in Iceland is who is the president? And the answer was wrong. Sort of contrary to you, we can choose our head of state. But anyway, so they decided, okay, we need to add, what do they call, knowledge to the LLMs, give the LLMs access to knowledge. And they started by allowing the LLMs to work with some, just searching the internet, searching the web. And also somebody had the great idea of allowing the LLMs to search the corporate data. So you could have data that was not sort of in the common market, or sort of you could actually get data that was private to the company. And that's, we could almost say that that's the big idea behind Copilot for Microsoft. That's the access Copilot has to the corporate data. And they have specific methods to do that, and we're going to look at them a bit later. And so that's step number 1, adding knowledge to the LLMs. And then step number 2 was allowing the LLMs to use tools. And the big idea there is that, or the main idea, the idea and the way you implement that is that you create, I would call it a program, and the program has some description of what it knows how to do, and that's what the LLM has access to. The LLM has access to, here is a tool, and I can use this tool to do X, Y, Z. So, and the example that everybody starts with is getting the weather forecast. So then you need to write a little program that sort of knows how to connect to the weather API and translate it into something that the LLM understands, and then work with it that way. So that's basically tools. Okay, and the last thing is memory. And this is not in all agents, but it is in some agents. And this is the idea that the LLMs can sort of remember what they have been doing and learn from previous examples. And that's sort of maybe the three pillars of the, or maybe, yeah, four pillars of the agent. Is the LLM, the tools, the access to knowledge, and the memory. And of course, Microsoft being Microsoft, they are of course using sort of confusing language. And I was reading something about how to implement agents, etc. And the first sentence was something, when would you not use an agent? And they said, okay, you would not use an agent when the only thing that you need is to like have access to knowledge. But the thing is that in the other departments of Microsoft, for instance, the department that creates SharePoint agents, there they call agents the LLMs that only have access to knowledge. So it's sort of maybe not very helpful. Okay, and the demo that we're going to run is that we're going to create a progress report with the assistant of an agent, and we're going to use a Fabric data agent that has access to data, numerical data, and then we're going to enrich the data with unstructured data, specifically sort of manuals about how you should react to the numbers, and we will present the outcome with a well-structured report. And this is the flow that we call Fabric data agent that retrieves data from a Fabric data warehouse, and we get that data and add it to a Copilot Studio agent. And that Copilot Studio agent has also access to a knowledge base, which is the unstructured data that I was talking about, and uses these two types of knowledge to create the reports, how the status is and what should we do about it, or what can we do about it. Okay, so I'm going to show you first the way it works. So I have here in Teams, I think, yep. So I've added the agent from Copilot Studio, and it's maybe not a very good name. It's called Fabric Data Engine Test 03. But anyway, this is an agent that I created in Copilot Studio, and it is this combination that I talked about earlier. It's an agent that calls a child agent, which is a Fabric data agent, and retrieves the data from there. And it also has access to a knowledge base about what should be done about the numbers, and it then creates a report. So this is, yeah, I think this is a really good way to approach data, because everybody uses Teams, and being able to get the data like that is, of course, sort of just makes it a part of your day. So I asked here, okay, provide a full progress report and mitigation proposals for a project named Puppet Theater. And this is basically what I get out of that. First, the sort of executive summary, then the key findings about the numbers, and that comes from the Fabric data agent. And then we have mitigation proposals. They come from the knowledge base and also the next steps. Okay, and if we continue and just look, this is a Fabric user group, so I'm probably gonna just skip this slide here. What is Fabric? So getting this out of the way. So if we talk about Fabric data agents, they have access to 6 types of data sources, 6 different data sources. One of them would be a data warehouse. One would be a semantic model, which is like the basic model behind Power BI. And it was recently added, and I must admit I haven't looked at it yet myself. There is a type of databases called graph databases, and it was sort of made popular by, it was used in university, etc. before, but it was made popular by Facebook in the olden days, and then the big idea is that sort of every row in the database can have different types of relations to the other rows in the database. I think it's sort of a good way to understand it if you come from the SQL world. So it's not the relations sort of between tables, it's a relation between rows. So I'm married to my wife, and I'm father to my children, I'm son to my father and mother, I live here where I live in Tunguver, etc., etc. So these are the sort of relations that you can set up in a graph database. And then there is KQL, and KQL is like a time series database, and it's specifically made to sort of work with data that comes into the database fast, and specifically sort of time series data. Okay, and then they have added these two new data sources, and one of them is the search index from AI Foundry, and that sort of comes up like a native data source when you open up and start creating data sources. And also this new thing called ontology, which is a type of a graph database. It's sort of, we have entities, and these entities have relations to other entities. And ontology is a part of Fabric IQ, which you will no doubt hear a lot more about in the future. So these are the 6 types of data sources that we have. And if you look at the Fabric data agent itself, we have 3 things that we need to set up to sort of maximize the quality of the answers. And the first one is creating instructions for the data agent itself. And these instructions, they're always consulted, and they're always sent with a prompt. And they basically, you would put in them which data source you would use for each topic. And if you just create an example or imagine an example, you want a 360 view of your customer, then you would maybe have one data source that points to the sales data, one data source that points to the Incassa data or the sort of collection data, debt collection data, and maybe one that would point to the data about the sales opportunities, etc., CRM system. So these instructions, the data agent instructions, they would point to sort of, or decide, okay, he's asking about sales data, then I'm going to point him towards the sales data source. And also if you have like a universal terminology for the company or acronyms, etc., this would be a good place to put them, so you wouldn't have to put them into each data source, etc. So to translate into your lingo, company lingo. Okay, and also if you want to sort of have companies or have a certain style of the response and format the response in a specific way, then this would be the place to do that. Okay, and then we have the data source instructions, and they are specific to the data source itself. And so if you have more than one data source, as I talked about earlier, if you have maybe one sales data source and one Incassa data source, etc., you would have specific instructions for these data sources and data-specific logic. Maybe tell it how the tables are connected, if you need to do any special type of filtering, and sort of explain the transformation that need to be done, etc., etc. Sort of basically what you would tell a programmer when you're introducing the programmer to a database. Okay, here's the database. This is what you need to know about when you're constructing SQL queries for this database here. And the third one is example SQL queries. And then you could only use it for SQL and KQL databases. They haven't semantic models yet. And it's basically you have a natural language question. Maybe you could ask sort of what projects do we have, and then you would have the query that answers that question. So it's the question in natural language, and then the query you would use to answer that question. And you can type them in, or you can just import them for a JSON file. And I think you can just do a demo. Is that I don't know if there is a question or not. So let's open this one here. And here I am in a Fabric data, the Fabric workspace, sorry. Maybe the code is a little bit worse than I thought. Fabric workspace, and we have here a data warehouse which has a couple of tables. These are tables that give us the status of the projects that we're working on. So if we go to this table here, project or project reports. So these are the 4 projects that we're working on. Here we have like the status of the projects, and we have project reports. It's like the date that we are working with, and also sort of the projects. Here are the risks, sort of who has been assigned to the risk, what is the risk, etc., etc. And we have sort of various other things: safety and environmental, schedule performance, stakeholder satisfaction, and work package progress. Okay, so these are all in different tables, and we have this sort of a hub and spoke type database. So we have like a central table that is like the projects and the project reports, and then we have all these sort of supporting tables around them. This is just we could always call it a reverse Kimball model. Okay, and we're going to create a data agent, and you need to, you just Google it when you want to do it, but you need to do some magic in the admin portal, and some things that you need to turn on to be able to use data agents. And one of them is to be able to send data out of Europe. So maybe when it's out of preview, you'll be able to get away without doing that. Okay, but anyway, new item, data agent preview, and let's call it DA, and maybe just 03. It's always a good number. And the first thing it asks us to do is to add data. So it's just add data, and you can add the data sources that I was talking about earlier, sort of 6 different types of data sources. And you can also connect to an AI search, which would be in Foundry. Okay, but we are going to click on data source, just this data warehouse here, leave the reports, etc. And then we have to select the tables that we want. So it comes up with all the different tables. So just click on all the tables. I wish there was one way to select it. And also we could select data fields as well, or columns. Okay, now we've sort of set up which data we're going to be working with in this data agent, and then we're going to click on setup. And this is what I was talking about earlier. We have specific instructions for the agent, which is, as I talked about earlier, this basically, okay, I got this type of question here. Which data source am I going to use to answer that? And as I said, I could have more than one data source, but we're only working with one data source here. And I actually, when I was preparing this, one of the things that you can do in a data warehouse, you can export the model, I don't know, where is it? Download SQL database project. And I basically just downloaded this and opened it up in Visual Studio Code with GitHub agent open, and asked it to, and gave it some instructions, of course, and asked it to create for me a good instruction for the data agent. So that's what we got here. So here we have agent instructions, and I'm just going to copy it and paste it. And it is in Markdown format, and we can read the instructions here. And this is, as I talked about earlier, this is how we connect to the data and how the general instructions. Okay, and then the next bit is going to be the data source instructions. This is maybe more sort of data source description. Pasted in the wrong window. This is basically sort of a description of the database, and as I maybe told you before, this is sort of the things that you would tell a SQL developer that came to your company. So this is basically what you need to know about the database to write SQL queries, and sort of what the fields contain, how the tables are connected, one-to-many, etc. And it's basically what we need here. And then we also have this data source description. And the way I understand this, I don't know if you remember when I was talking about like earlier in the presentation, then we have a tool here that we want the LLM to use. This is basically instructions about when to use this tool, what this tool can do for you, and when you would use it. So then we've pasted these two things in, and the third bit is the example queries. And I can just click add here, and then I can just type the natural language request, and then the SQL query. Or what we're going to do is just import from JSON, example queries in JSON. Then we get all these queries, and we can actually decide, should we decide not to include some queries, we could sort of remove the check mark. That's something that you want. But I'm just going to select all the examples. And now we've got a pretty good data agent that is going to answer our questions, in a good manner. So if I can test the agent here. I'm going to ask, what projects do we have? Then it's going to tell us how or what sort of, how it decided to use the queries it actually used. That's a good way to put it. So here is the answer. It's these 4 projects that you have. Down at the bottom here, it says 1 step completed. And if we click this one, then you can see here, okay, decide to run this query here. And this is actually one of the queries that we have in the JSON file. Okay, and it also says, okay, and then there's a lot of other ones that I could have decided to use, but I mean, they are answers to different questions. Okay, now I want to publish this one. So I just go to publish, and I could, describe the data agent, and that's again, we can expose this to an LLM. Then this description would be used to decide when to use this particular one. And you can also say, here it says also publish to the agent store in Microsoft Copilot. So I'm just going to click on that one, and I'm going to publish. Just a couple of seconds. Okay, successfully published the agent. So where was it again? Every changes that are made from now on are going to be a draft. So I need to publish again to have a published version. So you can work with the draft, and you can work with the published version here. I think it was this one here. Yep. So I clicked on this bit here, and then we have down at the bottom here, model context protocol. So this makes this particular data agent available as an MCP server. So we can use this one as an MCP server. And that opens it up to a host of tools to use it. Okay, but remember when we published it, actually to Microsoft Copilot. So maybe if So if I log in, then this is going to be one of the tools that I can use in Microsoft Copilot. So it's this one here, DA3. So here we have this Copilot, and maybe so I don't have to type, I'm just going to copy here. So it's just asking about the progress of this particular project that's called Puppet Theater. So it's connected to the MCP server and getting the data. It's always a little bit slow the first time you do it. Okay, that's clear. It's a Puppet Theater, and it comes with sort of theater masks. Okay, it tells us where it gets the data from. So this particular data agent MCP server, and here we get sort of a progress report really about this particular project. Okay, and that's sort of half of what we wanted to do. The other half is using data that sort of tells us how we should react to the numbers that we're getting. Here we're only getting numbers, and sort of you're actually getting numbers and explanations about the numbers. And the other thing that we wanted to do was sort of seek the knowledge base and get to know how we should react to the numbers. And the knowledge base sort of basically tells us what we should do when the numbers are high or low, or etc., etc. And okay, we have all these files here in markdown format. Sort of how we should react to environmental risks, engaging shareholders and local community, mitigating environmental risks, and when we should call the lawyers, and how should we go about it if it's getting really bad, etc., etc. And okay, so we're going to do that in Copilot Studio. So here we are in just Copilot 365, but in here we are in Copilot Studio. So if you just go to Agents and create a blank agent, I hope this is not too confusing. Jumping from one program to another. We're gonna have this agent here called Agent 4. There is actually a bug here at the moment. You have to sort of change the name twice before it sort of listens to you. We're going to go down to Agents, and we're going to go to Add Agent, because the Fabric Data Agent is an external agent. I'm going to click on Connect to an external agent, and then you have sort of, you can connect to a Foundry agent, you can connect to a Microsoft Fabric agent, you can connect to an agent that we created in Agents SDK, or this agent to agent, which is it's some sort of a protocol that Microsoft has created for agents to sort of talk together. Okay, so it's Microsoft Fabric, and it's next, and then it comes up with a list of Fabric data agents. If you just click on DA3, and here we could write a description. I'm just gonna hope for the best and just click Add and Configure. So now we're connected to the Fabric data agent. So here is like the things that we can change for the Fabric data agent. Okay, go back to, so we're going to go to overview, sorry. And yeah, well, the thing is, Fabric data agent is here under agents. Okay, we go to overview. And then we have here something called knowledge, and we're going to add knowledge. And here we could connect to SharePoint libraries and Dataverses and AI searches and all sort of fancy things. And also if you go to advanced, you can actually connect to many strange things like Databricks and Oracle databases, etc., etc. But we are here in feed, and we're just going to upload the files just to make it easy for ourselves. That way we're not going to run into any connection problems. So it's just upload file, and it's here in the repos, and maybe I should have tidied this up before the demo. And knowledge base, and I just select them all and add to agent. Then it takes these files and reads the content and sort of translate into a language that the model actually understands. And it also describes the content of the file, so it knows which file to consult whenever there is something coming from the sort of when we prompt about something. Okay, and it's just indexing the files at the moment. So I'm just gonna go here, and I've got some very simple instructions. I'm just gonna hope for the best and just paste it in here. Save. Hope I didn't ruin anything. So the instructions, they say just first retrieve data about the project from the project status Fabric data agent. So that's not right. It's called DA3. And when you're done doing that, then you should consult the knowledge and tell us how we can mitigate the numbers if they need mitigating. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say something really clever now. So when we're working with Copilot Studio, we have various sort of tools at our disposals. We have the knowledge base. We can call tools to do different things for us. So maybe if we want to send the thing that we get from the agent as an email, we could sort of just do that. If we want to save it as a Word document, we could do that, etc., etc. Okay, here are the agents. Remember I clicked here and then we saw the Fabric Data Agent. And then we have these things called topics. And topics, they are basically to guide discussions. So we have maybe certain phrases that trigger a topic. And maybe in this case, we would just say, okay, if somebody's talking about the status of a project, then we would guide him to this project status topic. And then we would maybe have a flow, sort of first ask him about the name of the project, then ask him if he wants to know about the risk or he wants to know the financial process, or etc., etc. That's how we would use topics. And maybe if you look here to the left, we have also here something called flows. And when I started, it was quite confusing for me, sort of when you would use flows and when you would use topics. So it is basically, if you want sort of a flow to happen sort of behind the scenes without you knowing it, then you would use flows. So maybe in this case, so the flow would be, okay, start by getting the data from Fabric, then consult the knowledge base, and then you should save it as a Word document or send it in an email or something like that. You would do that in a flow, but you would use a topic if you wanted to guide the discussion of the person talking to you. Sort of, okay, first I want to know which project he's interested in, then I want to know what he wants to know about the project, etc., etc. So that's basically the difference. Okay, activity, that's sort of just how often have you been running this and how has it gone. And then evaluation, that's of course very important. And then you want to know how good is the agent really? Is he giving you the output that you want? And that's what you do in the evaluation. I think we need to publish first before we look at the channels. Channels are where can you use the agent that you just created. So we created the agent, and as I said many times before, sort of retrieves data from a Fabric data agent, consults a knowledge base, and then sort of outputs a report. And if we go to channel, and we have these possibilities, we could embed it in a website, you could sort of put it in a SharePoint library. But what we are going to look at is this Teams and 365 Copilot. So I click here, add channel first, I think, and then you can select the channel if I remember correctly. Some funny workflow here. Okay, yep. So I clicked add channel first, and here I can select if I want to make it available in Microsoft 365 Copilot, or if I want to make it available in Teams. This one here. So it would be nice if it sort of got the icon from the actual agent, but it just comes to like a general icon. Okay, so I'm just gonna got this prompt here. Provide a full progress report and mitigation proposals for the project named Puppet Theater. Okay, and it's sort of, I've opened the agent. It's one of the things that I can open from this left bar here. It's agent 4, and it greeted me, and I'm just going to ask it to create a report about the Puppet Theater. And first, it's going to ask me to allow it to use the Fabric Data Agent. We can actually go about this by providing it with like the identity of the maker. But I mean, I think there is like the third option missing here. That's sort of giving the agent its own identity, but okay. So it is what it is. It is what it is while it is this way. Let's put it that way. Okay, and here is maybe a little sort of glitch in the user experience. Maybe I should have created a topic here that sort of sent us a message saying, okay, I got your instructions, I'm working on retrieving the data. So what it did here was sort of very, very nerdy. It sort of got the instructions and then it just sort of went to its own room and solved the project there. But anyway, so here is what we have. This is a Puppet Theater project. Here is the executive summary. Here are the key project metrics. Here is from the knowledge base. Okay, what should we do about it? So let's meet on then. Should I just stop sharing maybe? Well, I hope this was all right.
Yes, sure, absolutely. And I caught a lot of the questions along the way. There is also some discussion about billing and consumption and stuff like that. There are some official statements and documents from Microsoft. I shared those in the chat, but could you maybe just elaborate a minute or two on how to track consumption? Maybe is it possible to have a budget and so you have a cap on how much data agents are spending, or maybe say a few words on that if you know?
Mm-hmm. Not really sure at the moment, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But I think it's just like any other Fabric item. So you have the same type of controls as you have there, and you have quotas, etc., etc. So it's just, I think it's just treated like any other Fabric item.
Yeah, it's consuming is like OpenAI, I think, in the background, so you can track it with the metric app in Fabric.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really give you a definite number. I think it's difficult to track in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that was all of the questions. I think Trung has. The problem is when exposing the agents for wider public than super users. Obviously, if you have a huge set of users or a greater number of users, that can kind of run amok. But yeah, I don't think there are any guardrails currently, but we can get back to that. Oh yeah, and then there's a question here. How did you arrive at detailed prompts as input to the agent?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any follow along or download SQL DBC playing VS Code and drafting prompts, or do you have any comments for that?
Yeah, it's basically what I did was I just exported the database project and opened it in Visual Studio Code. And just sort of gave it some instructions that sort of were based on the documentation, and said, okay, this is how a good instruction would look like. Please help me make one of those. And I think actually there were some things that I, of course, because this was the database project, only gave the structure of the project, not the data. So it had sort of done some wrong sort of assumptions, sort of how the status was. So I think it's sort of green, amber, red, or something like that in the database, and said sort of good, bad, etc. And so some things that I had to correct. But I think actually the instructions for the data agent itself, I think they are a little bit too detailed. They are sort of, I think they are actually, as they are there, they are sort of stifling the creativity of the agent. It should be maybe more permissive. Okay.
Yeah, I shared a link in the chat also for what's it called? It's called there's a website where you can actually get. Didn't I share that? I'm just double checking. The Fabric Agent Prompt Explorer, where they're sharing curated prompts that you can use to generate specific outcomes. So you can have a look at that. It's in the chat. There's a lot of links in the chat, but 12:34, I shared the Fabric Agent Prompt Explorer, and that's something at least to get you started. Someone's asking, could you share the SQL database project for this sample project? And that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's no problem. I think maybe the easiest way if you just connect me on LinkedIn and then I just send it that way.
Okay, yes.
I'm the only man in the world with my name, so I'm easy to find.
Yeah, I'll share your LinkedIn profile in the chat like that. And I think you get the Fabric prompts. That's really odd. Christian is getting a broken link with Fabric prompts. It's showing up fine here with me. I don't know if anyone else have tested this.
I tested it and it's working for me.
Okay, so it could be some firewall thing. I think that's it for now. We are on time, and I think we got through, well, most of the questions. And I want to thank you, Grimor, even though you are headed straight for bed. I want to thank you for your bravery to take this session, follow it through. That was a very nice introduction to Fabric Data Agents, and I hope you all got something out of it. And I wish you to get well soon. So thank you for now.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.